Hello, this is the fourth Redbrick Football podcast of the year. This week I'm joined by Harry.
Hello.
Alex.
Hello.
Sam.
Hey.
Nicola.
Hi.
And Nathan.
Hey.
It's a big show today. I'm going to start off with another quiz question, which is going to become a regular thing. This week's question is, who is the only player to have scored a hat-trick in the Premier League, all three of the other English leagues, the FA Cup, and an international game?
Is it Ugo Egiog?
No.
Again, I think I know the answer.
Yeah.
Is it Robert Earnshaw?
It is indeed.
Oh, wow.
Good shout. A lot quicker than last week. Right, I like that. Let's move swiftly on to Chelsea 4, Man United 0. Nathan, you're a Man United fan. Do you want to give us your thoughts on this game?
Do we have to talk about this?
Yes.
Well, I mean, last week I spoke about the confidence that I had because, and I quote myself here, I think, I saw that we were defensively competent. Well, that didn't last long. It was really quite a sad performance yesterday. I mean, it gets off to the worst start. 30 seconds, your whole game plan's out the window. Because I assume he probably went for the similar type of performance they went for against Liverpool, and that was just thrown away straight away. I mean, I don't know if everyone else thought the same, but I felt like I was watching five-a-side yesterday. In terms of the tackles made, it was kind of like the lazy sort of challenges when you know they're going to score, you're going to score, even though we weren't really threatening. But it was like someone just sticking a lazy leg out. That's the sort of thing I would do whilst I was defending. It was just, I don't know, it was really sad. I mean, the last goal was really just criminal. It just waltzed through, walked right past Pogba and Herrera as if they weren't there. And then Smalling, just, here you go, have a free shot on goal. It was really embarrassing, and it's just one of those days that we want to put behind us straight away and forget about it and move on, really.
All right, you mentioned that it all fell apart very quickly. Pedro scored within 30 seconds, I think it was. And then Gary Cahill scored from a corner. Nicola, tell us something special about Gary Cahill's goal.
On Saturday, all the scorers in the Premier League were not English, and so the two games on Sunday, two of the goals scored were by English players. First one was Nathan Redmond, and the second one was Gary Cahill.
So they rescued the Premier League from foreign invasion.
I think it was the first time in about 100 years I read today that it happened in no English goals.
Yeah. You mentioned the fourth goal, which was criminal. Kante scored. It's only his second ever goal and his first for Chelsea. He's been quite an influential figure for Chelsea, and obviously definitely was last season at Leicester. Do you think now they've found their system, he's going to start playing like he did at Leicester last season?
I don't think he can follow up exactly what he achieved at Leicester. I think that will remain unprecedented until, I mean, he'll probably have a good season, but whether he sort of reaches those heights, he's getting used to new midfielders within a different system as well. Obviously, Conte's probably going to go with the 3-4-3 after winning 3 times using it. So I'm not too sure if he'll sort of reach those heights.
Okay. What do we think generally of this system that Conte's installing? Because it looks like he's kind of given Chelsea's old system a chance and has proved to everyone, as if we didn't need to know already, that it isn't working. So now he's switched to his 3 at the back system, and it looks like it is going to work. Do we think that that's the way to go following on from this throughout the season?
Didn't Chelsea have some injured centre-backs at the start as well, which might explain why he didn't start immediately with that formation? If they're missing defenders, you don't want to play a formation that you haven't got the players for.
I think Marcus Alonso and Victor Moses especially deserve some praise, actually, because it wouldn't have been their suggested positions to play wing-back, especially not Moses, and I think they performed very, very well in 3 games. That's why they kept 3 clean sheets, scored goals, and have looked, more like title challengers once again after slump against Arsenal.
All right. Moses is an interesting one because Mourinho, when he was at Chelsea, was always struggling for a right back and a kind of a right wing back type role. And it looks like Moses was there the whole time, ready to play that role. And Conte sort of found that. Do we think that Conte might actually be a better coach than Mourinho? Because Pep Guardiola has said that he sees Conte as one of his biggest challenges in terms of management in Europe. So do we think that Conte is up there with the very best of them?
Perhaps what Mourinho's strength is with his man management, isn't it? But yeah, maybe it is the case that Conte is a better coach. I couldn't see Mourinho starting Moses.
I think Conte's sort of making the best of what he's got. I mean, Moses, when he started his career, he was a really, really attacking winger. He sort of started to just go further and further back as his career's gone on. And on the large part, he's sort of underwhelmed according to sort of how people look to his potential. But Conte, I think probably shades Mourinho slightly.
All right. I will say Moses was a bit of a legend when he played for Wigan. Can someone tell me what is going wrong with Man United at the moment?
I think what Sunday displayed was they're crying out for a leader. Like, who's the man in the dressing room who's going to step up when they're 2-0 down at half-time? He's going to say, come on, boys. Because I don't see Mourinho as being like that. Mourinho sort of relies on his plans just working. And, there's no Ferdinand, Vidic.
Can I just mention at this
but Chris
point
Smalling is...
a certain Wayne Rooney, whose birthday it is today. So happy birthday, Wayne, if you are listening. Is he not a leader that Manchester United needs?
Perhaps he was a few years ago, but now with everything that's going on in the media and him being heavily criticised, he won't have the same presence in the dressing room. Like, people won't look at him and see him as this kind of,
I'd say led by example.
Ethereal
when he was sort of at the peak of his powers. A lot of players in good teams, like the Invincibles team, a lot of our players you had like Bergkamp and Henry leading by example, and then Vieira, who was leading by enforcement, sort of, actually a real leader, a vocal leader. Whereas I don't think, from what I can see, I don't think Rooney is a vocal leader on the pitch. He sort of lets his play do the talking, which obviously has come short in recent weeks.
Yeah. All right. Last thing I want to touch on in this game, what was the reception like for Mourinho on his return to Stamford Bridge?
I think he was pretty well received, although at 4-0, some fans started, there was a small section apparently that started singing, wasn't you getting sacked in the morning?
You're not special.
You're not special anymore, followed by those that were singing, just that Jose Mourinho once again. So I'm not sure if that was because they were 4-0 up and it didn't really matter, but I think the reception was quite good. And same was for Mata as well and all the other assistants and so on.
All right, let's move on to Manchester City, who drew 1-1 at home to Southampton. I think this is 4 games without a win now for Pep Guardiola's Man City, and 5, I'm being told it's 5. Thanks, Nicola. This was another example for Nathan Redmond's goal of poor defending by an English centre-back, because we had Smalling being seemingly scared of the ball in the Man United game, and Stones plays kind of a blind pass. Whether it's to Company or Bravo, I'm not entirely sure, but he plays a blind pass, and then Nathan Redmond nips in, goes around the keeper and finishes nicely. Playing out the back for Pep Guardiola's teams has always been obviously a massive thing, but do we think that it's worth waiting a bit and trying to get your players better at that before forcing it on them? Or do we think he wants to just throw them all in the deep end and then in a season's time just start winning everything else?
I mean, I do think with a tactic like that, if you make a mistake on the pitch, you will learn from it and inevitably get better. I would doubt if we ever see Bravo coming out like he did against Barcelona and making that mistake again. And likewise with Stones and Company, that was a bit of miscommunication. It looked like Company moved forward when Stones was expecting him to stay back. And so those are mistakes that you iron out fairly easily. And, Company hasn't played in a while. When he gets more game time, those things will disappear. So I don't necessarily think it's the tactic. It's just sometimes you do have to let these things play their course on the pitch, and there will be a few mistakes, but it might be for the better in the end.
There's only a certain way in which you can coach it. It relies heavily on instinct, playing out from the back, and you just have to rely and trust the players. Obviously, Stones made a mistake yesterday, but I think overall it is a good thing for the game. It's just they can't afford to make many more mistakes, with Bravo, making that howler against Barca as well. It's similar. I digress a bit here, but it's similar with goalkeepers. The idea of when a keeper comes out to claim a ball, sometimes he'll drop it, right, and then he'll just say, "Oh, he should have punched it." But for me, it's worth taking the risk and catching it, maybe starting a counter-attack. And it's a similar thing with playing at the back. Inevitably, there will be mistakes, and if you do make a mistake, it could lead to a goal. But in the long run, it is a good idea if your players are capable.
Fernandinho put a great ball over the top for Sané, who through a tiny bit of miscontrol, ended up having to set up Iheanacho for his goal. And Iheanacho has the best shot conversion rate in Europe's major league since his debut in... When? Does anyone know his debut? Come on, we should know this.
August 2014.
That's 15. But right date, I like that. 11 goals from 17 shots for Iheanacho. And there's been rumours this week that Pep wants to get rid of Aguero. Can we see Aguero leaving? Because obviously Pep's already got rid of Joe Hart and essentially Yaya Toure as well. He seems to be getting rid of the people who are the biggest names in the dressing room. Do we see Aguero as someone that Man City might want to get rid of? He's meant to be replaced by Aubameyang, apparently.
I mean, I think if you're going to replace Aguero, you do need to have someone to come in, or you need to be very careful who you sell him to.
I don't think he won't go to a Premier League team.
They would.
He'd probably. I mean, obviously, he's already played for Atletico, Real Madrid. Would he go there? I don't know. Barca might be interested, but then
Suarez.
3 world-class attackers. Do they need another one?
Where have these rumours even come from? Because he's been out of form for like 2-3 games.
Press have been
It's just
reporting
untrustworthy.
on that.
Don't trust
Aguero's
it.
always quoted that he said he'd leave after his contract expires.
And he just signed
go back to
a
us.
big new contract, didn't he? So it's a confusing one.
I can't see him leaving, but they were linked very heavily to Aubameyang in the summer.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be
I've
surprised
heard
if
rumours that
that's
PSG need a striker following their 0-0 draw the weekend. Alright, let's talk about Liverpool now, because they did what Tottenham failed to do last week and beat West Brom 2-1, and this was the example of Liverpool at their best, I think, because they scored some spectacular goals. Mane's being the best of the two. Coutinho dummied it, and then Chan found Firmino on the wing, lifted it perfectly over onto Mane's foot for the first time finish. This is the rock and roll football that Jurgen Klopp has always talked about. Do we think now that Liverpool might be title contenders? Can we get to that point now?
Yeah, I honestly do. I mean, they have defensive frailties, but Matip looks like an absolute beast. And just looks so comfortable at the back. Lovren looks more assured than he ever has done. Milner at left back, although not a natural fit, seems to be doing the job.
better than Moreno.
Yeah, well, I think anyone would be better than Moreno at this moment. But yeah, and the attack is so flat. I mean, there's a question of whether Daniel Sturridge will sort of find his way back into that team. They sort of work better with a sort of false nine system with Firmino at the top of it and Coutinho and Mane sort of playing off that. I think the way that they always played at Dortmund, they had very fluid attacking football. It's just sort of, they just used to sort of make their way up the pitch seamlessly, and they seem to be able to do that in this Liverpool team. So, yeah.
West Brom scored from a corner again. Are we worried about West Brom this season? Because they have a habit of staying up by defending quite well. Do we think that luck is ever going to run out in terms of relegation?
Originally, I was worried that they might be relegated, but again, I don't think they will. I think Pulis knows what he's doing. I mean, you see the results they get. They get enough results to string it along. They always seem to, and I think they will again.
It's just a case of finding three teams who are worse than them. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And as you say, Hull are going to go down probably.
Yeah.
I would potentially say Middlesbrough.
I think all three that got promoted for a long. It's not been it's been a while since all three that got promoted got relegated.
It's usually two of the three is sort of how it usually conspires. But I think I think Burnley.
Yeah, I think Burnley have more about them than
and
West
they've
Brom.
signed well. I mean, Stephen Defoe looks
Agreed.
a very sort of good acquisition for me. So yeah, I don't know. I see the teams that are down there at the moment. I mean, Stoke. I think Stoke will be absolutely fine.
Stoke will be fine. Yeah.
West Ham have obviously got themselves out.
We're all forgetting about Sunderland.
There we go. I was thinking for the other club.
Yeah.
They're destined for. Unless
We say this every year as well, and they seem to find a way.
Well, Moyes will be on his way out soon, won't he? It'll be. Who knows? Big Sam might be making a re-emergence.
West Brom, obviously, they signed Chadley with more of an attacking threat, but I started Berahino has only scored 1 goal and 0 assists in 28 games, which is 1,500 minutes.
Yeah, and they've been trying to get rid of him for quite a while, but you can see why no one wants him anymore. We mentioned Burnley. They had a really good 2-1 victory over Everton on Saturday.
It was their first 90th minute winner in the Premier League.
Oh, good start. They are a very good team at home. Seemingly quite a good a different team to when they play away. But Vokes scored a tap-in after Stecklenburg couldn't quite hold on to a scuffed shot. Which I don't... What was your opinion on this, Harry, because you're a goalkeeper? Did you think Stecklenburg should have held on to that?
It's weird, it's hard to kind of say. Usually say if you can't hold on to it, put it out for a corner. It'd be pretty harsh on him to blame him fully for that, to be fair.
Alright, well, we're going with high standards after last week, two saves. Balassi scored for Everton after he stole the ball off Lukaku because he thought he was faster than him, and fair enough because he fired into the far corner. But that was all in vain because Scott Arfield then volleyed in the 90th minute to give Burnley the win. Do we like Burnley? We were talking a little bit about them earlier.
They look very, very stable. I mean, when I begrudgingly watched the 90 minutes they played against Arsenal, even though Arsenal won, that goal probably should have been disallowed. And Burnley was so rigid. They put like 6 or 7 men behind the ball and just sort of let their midfielders sort of press, win the ball back. They were just very, very astute, very good. They know how to play their certain style. They're never going to be playing attractive football, tiki-taka stuff, but they'll probably draw and win. For me, they'll draw and win enough games to be probably finishing 15th or 16th, which is an achievement for them, I think.
They're playing very much like Iceland did in the Euros.
Yeah, exactly.
They know what
They've got an Icelandic player, haven't they? They've got Goodmanson.
But they know what they're capable of and they're sticking to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And their plans worked because when they came up before, Dyche was like, we're going to concentrate on development of the training ground rather than signing players. And obviously they've managed to get back up, signed a few more players this time. Yeah. And does he get enough credit as a manager?
Well, he said himself about the whole English managers argument, and that English managers should be it's some sort of like affirmative action sort of policy. English managers to get like preferential treatment. I'm not sure whether that's right, but I would say probably he could be in line for like a sort of a better side job. But I mean, Burnley are sort of a yo-yo club between the Premier League and the Championship, aren't they? He could be aiming somewhere a little bit higher, like somewhere like West Ham. It was a bit more aspirational, but he's a decent manager. He knows how to manage football, whether that's well in the Championship or average in the Premier League, who knows?
Alright, really quick answer from someone. Was this a good game from Burnley or a bad game from Everton?
It's hard to really say like without seeing the game.
90th minute winner, isn't it? Yeah. So I would say probably a bad game from Everton.
It seemed like Everton had a lot of chances.
Yeah. Right. Leicester got back to winning ways and their title defence continues. 3-1 at home to Crystal Palace. Vardy was on the bench for this one, and that didn't really seem to matter because Okazaki and Musa played very well. And then Fuchs scored a wonderful volley off a corner. It could have been slightly different maybe if Benteke's header that hit the bar early on had gone in, but Leicester looked a lot better this week. Vardy benched. Is that because he's not in form? Is that because he's tired? Someone tell me, please.
Is it maybe because they signed 2 big money strikers and they need to get them on the pitch as well?
Yeah.
Just as much as anything else.
Well, Slimani's been in form, or kind of in form in the Premier League. I mean, I think he scored 3 or 4 goals. Scored 2 in Europe on his debut. And Musa as well. I mean, Musa, Okazaki and Slimani, they're very... I mean, Okazaki was his stats from the weekend. I think he ran 11.66 kilometres. And he usually... I mean, last year he came off quite a lot for Leicester at sort of 75th minute. But he just seems to be able to run the opponent into the ground, sort of make them sort of give up, break them down, and I think he's very underrated for me. I mean, he doesn't score a lot of goals really or assist much, but his sort of contributions I think will be. Yeah,
the last season there was a lot of talk about Vardy, Mahrez, and Kante obviously, but Okazaki probably was one of the more important players for Leicester. All right, Palace did have chances, and Kabay scored a nice goal. Are we worried about Crystal Palace?
No.
Got too much quality in these sort of attacking areas for me. I think
we've also got the best striker in the world, Christian Benteke.
I thought you were going to say Loic Remy.
Let's move on to North London, because both North London teams drew 0-0. I have a note saying both tied from Champions League ? Is that why Tottenham and Arsenal both drew 0-0? Is it the Champions League? Because Arsenal played Ludogorets. I think, despite Ludogorets being an anagram of good result, I think Arsenal probably could have rested a few players in this one.
I don't like the idea of players being tired. I don't like the word tired after how long has it been? At least 3-4 days. I remember, was it the Southampton game last week? There was a bloke who ran 50 marathons in 50 days.
Yeah.
It's like, how can professional footballers, with all the facilities they have, make the excuse of being tired when there's blokes like that doing that? You could argue mentally tired, travelling, but, Arsenal were at home, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's like...
Both times, yeah.
So I don't think that's an argument at all.
No,
I don't accept that as an excuse either. We've seen English teams, at least 10 years ago when we were better in Europe, we were able to mix and match in Europe and then come back to England and win games. We didn't really use that as an excuse. I don't know why it's become a thing now that automatically playing in Europe seems to be, we can drop points now. I don't think that's necessarily true. Obviously, if you have a long journey to Turkey or Ukraine, which United have coming up and things, it might jade some of the players. But really, they get very good treatment, and I don't think it should be much of a problem.
Okay, I want to jam in another one of my Ludogorets facts, because it does mean people of the forest. So, could Arsenal have rested players against the people of the forest? Someone please tell me. Because I know we're saying that they shouldn't be tired, but do you need to play Ozil and Sanchez against Ludogorets?
I think it's always worth it in the Champions League, especially with PSG in your group. Do you really want to risk,
Ludogorets didn't look that bad either. We were watching the game live, and they had about 4 or 5 chances to go in the lead or to equalise. So, although the result looks like an absolute walkover, I honestly think it was. It sort of got out of the reach of Ludogorets in the second half.
It was 4 second half goals, wasn't it?
Is that the reason that Ozil was celebrating his hat-trick like he'd won the Champions League?
Perhaps. Yeah. Well, he's never scored one, has he?
Wasn't he taking selfies with the ball and stuff?
Sound like Rio Ferdinand.
As for Spurs, I think they're just in a slump in form at the moment. Draw with West Brom.
No, draw with Bournemouth.
And
Bournemouth were really good there.
I think that's harsh on Spurs, to be honest. I watched them against Bournemouth and I thought they were really impressive. Second half, I thought Spurs really upped their game.
They were in control.
They were in control. Okay, yes, they didn't create too many clear-cut chances. But I think both of those two sides look really good. The Bournemouth looked really good, and obviously they impressed last week. But Spurs are on for a good season, I have no doubt about that.
Wanyama and Moussa Dembele in the midfield looks like an unbelievable partnership, because Wanyama just completely shut down Wilshere and just dominated him physically in the game, and then Dembele has just unbelievably good on the ball.
He doesn't lose the ball at all, does he?
Yeah, he is a magical player to watch. Bournemouth, as you said, are looking like a good team, and at the end they were really going for the win. They were playing like the bigger team, and that
should have won it.
Yeah, that's really the attitude I like to see.
They're just fearless, aren't they?
It's like they don't accept the sort of stereotype of people. People always, they grade where teams should be and what their quality is. They don't accept that people grade them as an average team. They believe they can win every game, and they play like they can.
Yeah. Eddie Howe for a future England management role?
Tainted with that.
Some way down the future maybe, but if I was him I would never take it.
If he takes it now, he will ruin his career.
Arsenal's draw with Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough did have quite a few chances on break, and Gaston Ramirez and Alvaro Negredo both probably should have scored. I don't think Arsenal would have been too upset to lose this game because Middlesbrough had so many chances, but at the same time they were all on the break and Arsenal did kind of dominate. So do we think that a draw was a fair result in that one?
Yeah, I would probably say on the balance of the performance of both teams, Middlesbrough did look really threatening. Adama Traore, obviously ex-Villa man. I think he completed 9 dribbles in that match, which is quite extraordinary.
Didn't he record the fastest ever sprint?
He recorded the fastest ever sprint time in the Premier League, which was 37.5 kilometres per hour.
Monster.
So he's one to watch.
Stats today. Guys.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back and I'll tell you the remaining 3 Premier League results, and then Nicola will tell us all about the lower league. Right, we're back after that incredible theme music. Hull had a defeat at home to Stoke with Shaqiri scored 2 wonder goals. Do we think that we said Stoke are going to be fine? Hull, we are worried about, aren't we?
They are going straight back down,
Right.
without any doubt.
I think that was pretty much everyone's prediction at the beginning of the season as well. West Ham managed to actually win at home, but it was against Sunderland, so that's the qualifier.
And they really fluked that one as well, didn't they?
Yeah, Winston Reid scored a late saving goal.
94th minute.
Fun fact, guys, Jack Rodwell has now gone 3 years and 5 months without being a starter in a winning side in the league.
Caveat that though, Gareth Bale went 2.5 years and look where he is now. So maybe we can expect Jack
In
Rodwell.
a few years' time, Jack
Yeah.
Rodwell will be on the Ballon d'Or shortlist. Swansea drew 0-0 with Watford. Bobby Bradley held to a 0-0 draw. And that was his first game, wasn't it? Second game.
Lost
All right.
last week.
Okay, not a good start for Bobby Bradley. That's the Premier League wrapped up with. Nicola, do you want to tell us about the lower leagues?
Do you want to do Championship?
I'll just say Villa are getting promoted. That's certain now. Bruce unbeaten. Villa are unbeaten at home throughout the whole season, which is surprising. Bruce 9 points from 7. Only conceded 2 goals in the last 3 games, both from penalties. And we've got the best striker in the league in Jonathan Culture, who scored the goal of the weekend.
As Tony Gier called him, we are recruiting a world-class striker in his tweet.
Exactly.
I'm
And he
not
was
sure how
right.
he can be world-class in the Championship, but who knows?
He just is.
My stat is he's the first player to score in 3 consecutive games since Tom Cleverley in April and May 2015.
Oh, wow.
I'd just like to mention, you said you can't be world class in the Championship, but Will Grigg plays in the Championship.
The fire's been put out. How long is it since he scored?
4 or 5 games, something
There we
like
go.
that.
Yeah, we just got a small game on Sunday. Win that as well. That's 3 wins on the bounce, and we're heading straight to playoffs. And then inevitably, I reckon we'll come second. I'm being very optimistic. Newcastle are going to walk it, but then we're going to come second.
The other Birmingham teams in the Championship saw Wolves lose 1-0 at home to Leeds, and Birmingham lost 2-0 away at Burton Albion. League One, Coventry got back-to-back victories this week because there were midweek games. They won 2-0 at home against Rochdale and 2-1 against Oxford. So they're now at the top of the relegation zone instead of the bottom. And a surprising stat, their home form, 13 games without loss in all competitions. So it just means that all their games currently have mainly been away, and when they've been at home, they've been okay. Walsall won in the week 2-0 against Swindon, and they drew against Gillingham. So they're up to mid-table 12th. In League 2, Carlisle are on their longest unbeaten Football League run, which is 15 games, and they haven't done that for 21 years. And Plymouth are at the top of the League 2 table. They're just basically a 5-point lead. They're just going away with it right now, but who knows, that can change. Another stat from League 2 is Carlisle's Nicky Adams is on a 31-game unbeaten run because he was at Northampton Town, so had 17 games with them, and he's now had 14 games with Carlisle, who are also unbeaten. So 31 games is quite the feat. There was a manager left at the weekend. MK Dons lost. They just haven't been doing very well at all. And Carl Robinson left. He was the 3rd longest manager in the English Football League, behind Arsene Wenger and Paul Tisdale at Exeter. He'd been there for 6 years, but left with mutual consent. Sheffield United are on a run which is 10 unbeaten, and it's seen them go from the bottom of the table to 3rd. And in that time, they've beaten 5 of the top 7 teams in League One. And Josh Morris, who plays for Scunthorpe, who are again got a 5-point lead at the top of the League One table, he has scored 13 of their 32 goals, and that's more than he has in any of his seasons combined previously. And if he goes at this rate, he could get to 40 goals by the end of the season.
Oh, yes.
Not that he will necessarily continue that form, but if he does, that's what will happen. And finally, the National League, Solihull lost 3-0 at home to Tranmere.
All right, thanks, Nicola. That's the end of the show. You heard from Harry, Alex, Sam, myself, Nathan, and Nicola. We'll see you next week.